a very special treat, Mr. 305.
Mr. Worldwide himself, Pitbull. Take your life from a negative to a...
You not working hard. Yeah, right, picture that with a Kodak. I'm a person that been very, very blessed to be able to create something from nothing. Took my life from negative to positive. I would put things in music, and I could not believe that they would come to life. I'm like, oh, this really works. That's right. My family, I'm first generation Cuban American, and I know what they went through in order for me to enjoy freedom. I didn't graduate from high school, but it was a teacher that changed my life. One day I was rapping in the hallways, and she thought it was a fight. And she said, you got talent. And that's all it took. I never set in my mind to be the best rapper. I'm a hard worker. My first major concert, Luke's like, hey, get this motherfucker off stage right now. You don't make mistakes, mistakes make you. The more I heard no, the more I was like, I gotta fight for this, I believe in this. I tell people all the time, there's no losing, only learning. No failure, only opportunities. And there's no problems, only solutions. And the word can't is can. And the word don't is do. And if you take impossible and put an apostrophe right there, it makes it impossible.
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
You know, we live in a society that's so connected, it's disconnected. People taking so many pictures, they're missing the big picture. I don't care about followers, I don't care about likes, I don't care about views.
Be a leader, be unique, be different, and make a difference.
Music allowed me to be able to build schools in one of my own neighborhoods and now all over the United States of America. It means the world to me because you see these kids and you see you. We all bleed the same blood, breathe the same air, and put our pants on one leg at a time. In the same way that music is a universal language, I also see NASCAR as a universal language. We're gonna bring everybody together with NASCAR, and that's what I love. Once you figure out you're possible, you can break through any barrier, any border, there's no limits, and you live life how you want to live. There is no secret sauce. You work hard, and it will pay you back. I promise you. For everybody out there, I tell them, hey, why dream when you can live it? So get on it. Pac said, I'm not the one that's going to change the world, but I'm the one that's going to spark the mind of the one that is going to change the world. And that's what I'm looking at here today.
Every day above ground is up. Remember that.
Welcome to the session on Learning Curves, Reimagining the State of American Education. For Part 1, please welcome to the stage musician, education ambassador, and motivational speaker Armando Christian Pérez in conversation with CEO of the Milken Institute, Richard DeTizio.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank y'all so much for having us here today. We highly appreciate it. And we got to get some energy going in here. So, y'all ready to go? That's what I'm talking about. All right.
So, is this on?
It's
Armando,
on.
you and I did this earlier this year in Miami. We had such a good time, we decided to do it again in front of all these people. So, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide, you have an extraordinary reach given your fame and platform. This session is about education, and you started your philanthropic activities in your hometown of Miami. Tell us, how did you first come up with education as something you wanted to focus on at the beginning of SLAM? And just for those of you who don't know, SLAM is a Sports Leadership and Management Academy that Armando started.
The reason that we got involved with SLAM, Sports Leadership, Arts, and Management, why I got involved in education. Living in Miami, I lived in a lot of different neighborhoods, good, bad, worst, ugly, and learned how to adapt to any environment. Now, I went to a lot of different schools, 20, 25, I don't know, I lost count. Not because I'm a troublemaker in any way, shape, or form, but just always was around some trouble. Now, music was my escape. Music was something that inspired, motivated, and not only did it inspire and motivate me, but it inspired and motivated a teacher who actually believed in me. So while there was a principal in a high school that I went to who was actually trying to get me locked up every now and then, thinking that I was into something that I wasn't, to be honest with you, she stood up for me. She fought for me. And more than anything, she looked at me one day and she said, "I believe in you." And with her telling me that she believed in me, that changed my trajectory, it changed my direction, it changed my path in life. So when I got the chance and I partnered up with Academica, Fernando Solueta, and his whole team, I told him my story, and he studied my life, and he studied the way I grew up in Miami. And he said there'd be no better spokesman to be able to speak to these kids than myself, because they relate to you, and you are them, and they are you. So therefore, that's how we got involved with SLAM. And SLAM, being a school that's in one of my old neighborhoods in Miami called La Pequeña Habana, Little Havana, it's been up for a decade now. It's graduating at 100%. We're up to 15 schools around the United States of America. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I actually just got the news on the way here from Miami that we have gotten granted to be able to replicate SLAM all through the United States of America. And out of all the schools that got granted, which is 8 schools in the United States of America, we were the highest scoring school. So out of 120 points, we got 115. So it just goes to show you why I got involved. It's because the teacher believed in me and I believe in them. Bottom line.
That's great. And just one of 8 charter schools recognized by the Department of Education. I mean, that's a great model. Tell us, what are the learnings you take away 10 years later? Like, what was easier than you thought it was going to be, and what's been challenging about working in education?
I mean, the biggest room for improvement, or the biggest room in the world, is room for improvement. And the thing is, being involved with the public charter school, being able to pivot, being able to take advantage of opportunities for these kids without dealing with the bureaucracy or the red tape of certain things. You know, unfortunately, sometimes politics become politricks. Now, being able to, when you get involved with certain partners, certain companies that want to do something amazing for the kids, to motivate them, inspire them, and further them in whatever they're trying to do with their life, and you don't have to run it up the flagpole or have some kind of protocol, that really helps out. So there's always a new challenge. There's always, you always got to call an audible. You always got to be able to pivot. But that's something that we're used to, especially me coming from the music business. And I got to say, we have an amazing administrators, amazing teachers, amazing students, and I got to give a big shout out to the parents for believing in us. And that, to me, is the fun part, right? Always just finding new ways to make things happen for them.
So, as I've gotten to know you, you have a great set of sayings that you live by, and I'm trying to live by them too. One of your favorite mottos is, "There are no failures, only opportunities." Correct. So give everyone an example of a setback that you endured and how you overcame it and what you learned about yourself.
Well, with that said, my mother put me on to Tony Robbins when I was about, 9, 10 years old. I lived in a neighborhood called Carroll City in Miami, and believe me, we were not trying to listen to Anthony Robbins at the time. So with that said, it gave me a certain mentality, which is no losing, only learning, no failure, only opportunities, and no problems, only solutions. And in my life, yeah, you got dealt a certain hand, but it's what you learn how to do with the hand. And that mentality has worked in music, it's worked in life, and it's worked in, especially in education when it comes to these kids. My setback in life, funny story, the man who gave me a chance in music, his name is Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew. Someone that, fought for the First Amendment in order for us to be able to have freedom of speech when it comes to music. A lot of people don't know about that. But either or, he gave me my first chance in North Carolina. We call it North Kakalaki in Charlotte, Queens City. This was about 2001, 2002, and I was in front of 10,000 people. And at the time, the crowd was full of what they call Rough Riders. how can I say, not an easy crowd to impress. So when I got on that stage, I was so nervous that before that I had a bunch of drinks, and he knew what he was doing. He was setting me up for failure to see if I would succeed. And when I got on that stage, I swear to God, to everybody here, I thought I was rapping. In my mind, I was making all the sense in the world. But really what was coming out of my mouth was, and that probably sounds better than what I was doing on that stage in North Carolina. But I'll tell you that story why. Because that could have been the beginning of the end of my career. But in turn, I turned to Luke, I apologized, and I said that would never happen to me again in my life. And it hasn't to this day. And he calls me Chico. He said, I knew that would happen, Chico. That's why I put you through that. That's why I kept telling you, knock yourself out, Chico, knock yourself out. And to this day, I say thank you to Luke. And to this day, that day, like I said, could have been the beginning of the end of my career. But in turn, it became the beginning of my career that will never have no end due to learning a lesson like that. And being able to apologize, admit, accept, and move forward.
So I want to talk about the role of a role model. And I think you have a very compelling story, and I love that the women in your life set such a strong example for you, your mother and your grandmother. What did you learn from them?
I would say the women in my life, a woman made me a man. To me, women are the most powerful things on God's green earth. My grandmother, Abuela, was a rebel in Cuba and fought with Castro in what they call la Sierra Maestra. She was up there with Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Camilo Cienfuegos, and obviously she figured out that what they call the revolution, communism, socialism, fascism, whatever ism you want to put on it, was a lie. So she had to find a way to get my mother to the United States of America out of Cuba. My mother was 10 years old at the time. It was an operation called Peter Pan, Pedro Pan. My mother went from Cuba to Indiana. Now my grandmother's sister, Tia, Nena, she became a political prisoner who was basically creating safe houses and moving arms back and forth when they were trying to figure out how to get out of Cuba and, bottom line, get to the most priceless thing on earth, freedom. So therefore, I got a chance to learn from my grandmother that was up there with the rebels, my aunt who was a political prisoner, and my mother who came over to the United States of America not knowing the language, not knowing the family, not knowing anything, just knowing one thing, that she was going to get out of Cuba. So I learned from these very, very powerful women that taught me how to think with strategy, always with morals, manners, general principles. And that in turn is what has helped me to be able to not only thrive in life, well, not only survive in life, but thrive in life. So I want to say thank you to Abuela, to Tia, and to Mommy, because without them, there's definitely no way I'd be on this stage. And also to Hope Martinez, that teacher who gave me hope when I was hopeless. And ironically, her name is Hope Martinez.
So a lot of other celebrities have enormous reach and access just like you do, but they honestly don't do as much and don't leverage their platform for the good that you're trying to do in the world. Why is that so important to you, and how do you decide what to focus on?
Well, first of all, I don't consider myself a celebrity.
Well, you are.
I consider myself a hard worker. See, celebrities sell a lot of things, and they're willing to sell anything, even their soul. And therefore, they don't understand the kind of reach that they have, the kind of impact that they have, what they could really do. One of the neighborhoods that I lived in Miami called Wynwood, which is now the design district, went from the heroin capital to the art mecca of the world at this point. Unbelievable to be able to see that kind of change, but it gives you that inspiration, that motivation, right? But in that neighborhood, they had a saying. It says, don't talk about it, be about it. And I live by that. I'm not going to tell you about something if we're not going to produce, if it's not going to be real, if it's not tangible, if you can't come see it and feel what's really happened, what kind of impact. So music is giving me the opportunity. And when I say me, I mean us, I mean we. I don't do this by myself in any way, shape, or form. It's an amazing team that has the same vision, same goals, and also love to make things happen, okay? Not just talking about it. So unfortunately, a lot of people talk a good game, they can write a good game, they can rap a good game, but they really don't step up. And they don't show up or show out in their community, for their culture, for what they say they believe in. So with that said, I don't knock anybody. I don't knock anybody's hustle. What I try to do is lead by example. So when I tell them, hey, I believe in my community, my culture, my city, my people. So what do? We build schools for them, because education, at the end of the day, that is bottom line what you need as the blueprint, as the cement to anything moving forward in life. And when these kids get somebody that actually believes in them and knows what they're going through in their neighborhood, whether it's drugs, whether it's violence, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's coming from another country, whether it's gunplay, meaning gun violence, you name it. And they have a home to come to somebody that goes, hey, I relate to y'all, I understand you. But guess what? If I could do it, you could do it. Bigger, better, badder, stronger. And that, to me, is if we can get that message across to celebrities, the impact would be priceless. So, again, just leading by example. And hopefully they get the message.
So you're successful in both music and in business as an entrepreneur, and in both of those you need partners, as you just mentioned. If you were seeking partners to expand your educational footprint, there's a lot of people here who have a lot of access. What would you be looking for to do that?
I mean, when it comes to partnership and anything that we got going on, it's all about sharing the same vision, the same goals, which is just helping those that need it the most. And you're literally investing into the future. You're investing into those kids that I feel that nobody believed in, but yet when they get an opportunity, they appreciate it. They'll hunger, they'll drive, they'll grind, they'll fight. They're willing to sacrifice and put everything on the line because they are stepping every day in their life with purpose. Because they're trying to help their family. They're trying to get out the neighborhood. They're trying to break generational change. They're trying to be the first to go to a university. They're trying to be the first to do a lot of things in their family. So for those that want to get involved in true partnership with true meaning that's impactful, that not only will you see today, but you will see in the future, that to me is what it's all about. Helping those who need it the most. Living is giving, bottom line.
So let's stay in the future for a minute. Your great-grandchildren are talking about you, and they're looking back on your life and career. What do you most want them to know about you?
Well, first of all, I want them to always remember that when I was around, they were having a good time. They were having fun, okay? Because life is short. And I always tell people all the time, live life, don't let life live you. So anytime I'm around people that I love, I always want them to walk away with a very memorable moment. And for my great-great-grandkids, what I want them to talk about, no, is what they will talk about. They say, oh, not for nothing, but abuelo. Abuelo was somebody that always helped, always looked out, always gave back, and always represented where he was from. Whether it be Miami 305, whether it be my family from Cuba. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And with that said, that's how I would leave it. My grandfather stood for something. And when he said it, he did it. Don't talk about it, be about it.
So, as you know, the Milken Institute is about to open our Center for Advancing the American Dream in Washington, D.C. Part of that project is we're filming 10,000 people from all walks of life and all geographies around the world to ask them what their American dream is. And as I watch these videos, in almost every one, the person gets emotional thinking about the one person that helped them achieve whatever their dream might have been. Tell us who that person was, and then how you're going to be that person for someone else.
Couple things there. My mother coming over in Operation Peter Pan. My father came over from Cuba in this thing called, they call it the lottery. You don't get no money, you don't get anything, to be honest with you, but you get the most priceless thing in the world, you get freedom. So when I was born in the United States of America, my father was going back and forth in the Mario boat lift and picking up Cubans, bringing them to Miami. And my mother was supposed to be on one of those rides, and my mother said, no. he's going to be born in the United States of America. He's going to be Cuban American. He's going to be our first generation Cuban American. So anytime, as I got older, anytime my parents spoke to me, they would always say, we gave you the biggest gift already. You were born in the United States of America. You can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do in the United States of America, right? So to me, that embedded in my head and everything that happened to my family in Cuba and coming from Cuba, a lot of people don't understand. And when I'm performing, I say it all the time, it's the United States, not the divided states. The United States is something that should be appreciated. It's something that, for me, as the world runs around and does what it does, freedom isn't free, folks. That's for sure. Freedom can get ugly, especially when you got to fight for it. But freedom is priceless. So when I think about what my family went through in order for me to be on this stage right now, for to be somebody who lived in so many different neighborhoods, grew up around so many different cultures, did not graduate high school, but is able to build schools, not only in my city, but around the United States of America, that to me is what the American dream is all about. And that to me is why my parents gave me life and gift of being able to appreciate freedom, bottom line. So to Abuela, you know, who figured out how to get my mother over from the United States, from Cuba to the United States, to Tia, who fought, to my mother, who not only loved me, but gave me survival skills, and to my father, who tried his best to do the right thing by us, even though in the 80s in Miami, if y'all don't know, there was a lot of entrepreneurs. Just a different product. But they were all looking for VCs and angel capital. They were doing all. Angel investors. So I learned a lot. And that's why any chance that we get to give back, you can sign me up. And when I say me, you can sign me and the team up. And to everybody here, I just want to end this by saying thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting us to be able, for us to be able to tell you our story. It's always rich. I appreciate you. But more than anything, what we're talking about here is real. And that's hard to find in today's day and age. And it's not instant gratification. This is something that's a slow but a for sure. And we say, paso corto, vista larga. Short steps, long vision. And that's what Pitbull's been about, Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide. That's what Slam is about. And more than anything, that's what freedom is about. So thank y'all for having me. I highly appreciate it.
And thank you for being a role model for everyone.